But first, it's been revealed that the long-promised high-speed rail link between Sydney and Newcastle will cost a cool $90 billion. That's if it's ever built. At $4.7 billion a kilometre, that's quite the project. In fact, it would be the most expensive individual piece of infrastructure ever funded by the federal government if Anthony Albanese ticks off on it. Speaking of Anthony Albanese, the PM said today that an announcement on the project would be made in the next couple of weeks. I think they're going to go ahead with this, Caleb. They've been promising it for years, many political leaders on both sides. I don't know how they can justify the expense, but an announcement in the next couple of weeks, what do you think? Will Newcastle get the green light?
This is the problem, right? Because they've talked about high-speed rail for so damn long. And it really does make sense. Like, practically, it makes a great deal of sense. We know the housing problems we have in Sydney, and anything we can do to open up the possibility of people being able to not live in Sydney but come to Sydney for work and play and all the other things is great. It would be seriously helpful, and you'd like to think that eventually this is the kind of thing that could go around the country. But if it costs $90 billion to get high-speed rail from Newcastle to Sydney, imagine what it then costs to get that high-speed rail down to Melbourne. And that would be the ultimate goal. If you could have another route between Sydney and Melbourne that didn't require you to get on a plane or an XPT train which runs overnight and you know, takes the better part of 10 or 12 hours, that would be a game changer for transport in this country. But it is so bloody expensive. If they're going to go ahead with it, and part of me would like them to, but if they're going to go ahead with it, they're going to have to work overtime to justify the cost. Because it's going to cause so much trouble.
Just to pick you up on something you said, I don't think we'll ever have high-speed rail going to Melbourne, but coming out of Melbourne,
that may well be true,
yeah.
And they will want it to be high speed. Hell, you'd want to get out of there fast. But trying to justify $90 billion for one leg of a train line that services one city in the country is going to be a big task.
I don't know if it will be, you know. I know $90 billion sounds like a lot, and it is the most the federal government would have ever spent, but that's because the state governments do most of the infrastructure construction. The Sydney Metro system that has been a resounding success is costing $70 billion, so just $20 billion shy, and this would be funded by the Commonwealth instead. So when you compare it to other major infrastructure projects, it's not a lot more expensive, but the potential benefits would be massive. I mean, the fact that we have a housing crisis when we live in such a vast country is an absolute joke, and also an indictment on the lack of leadership we've seen in this space. There should be high-speed rail, not just to Newcastle, but to other regional centres as well. We can afford it as a country. We just choose to spend money on other areas like the NDIS instead of investing in our future.
Well, anyone who's done the drive from Newcastle to Sydney would know that it's a heck of a drive if you get caught in traffic, which is pretty much every time. And if there's a single accident, it pretty much just destroys everything. So it makes sense to not have all your eggs in one basket, i.e. a highway. A railway line would be a good idea. And if Newcastle was only 1 hour away from Sydney, that changes everything. In fact, a lot of Sydney-siders who are renting, I reckon, would move to Newcastle, buy a property, and they'd still get to work in about the same commute time that they have right now.
100%. And work from home, whether we like it or not, is here to stay. And a lot of people have a hybrid work from home arrangement where they might work from home 2 or 3 days and then commute into the office. If it's only an hour on the train from Newcastle to Sydney and you only have to go in 2 or 3 days a week, why wouldn't you? I'll be moving up to Newey.
But back to the cost issue, though. $90 billion is a hell of a lot of money, but especially when you consider this thing was mooted not that long ago at about $35 billion. So would you really trust when they say $90 billion?
Yeah, it's not going to be $90 billion.
That in 12 years' time, which is what they say it will take to construct this thing, that it'll come in on budget?
Yeah, no, of course not. But that's just how things go with government projects and government spending, right? It'd be great for tourism too. I mean, imagine it's just so much easier to get up there in an hour. Why would you not do it?